I grew up in Massapequa, Long Island, on 120 West Shore Drive. I am the oldest of 6 kids, and my parents, who many of you know well, Al and Catherine Bevilacqua. Al, they were both teachers and educators in the school system there, so we grew up with a lot of emphasis and importance around education and just basically doing the right thing. My 5 other siblings were all born within 8.5 years of each other, so we had a lot of chaos in my house in the early years. Started wrestling when I was 8th or 9th grade back in Massapequa, and my father at the time was the head coach of Massapequa High School, but I actually went to the rival high school, Berner High School, although I did go to my dad's camps and clinics. I never actually wrestled competitively for him. My father moved the family out to, of all places, Stillwater, Oklahoma, as he was going to work at the USA Wrestling Hall of Fame. And I ended up wrestling at Stillwater High School as a junior, and I ended up winning the freestyle states in Stillwater. Then my senior year, the family moved back to Massapequa, and I ended up competing my senior year at Berner High School. And there I was I won the county tournament, and then I ended up hurting my arm. I had my first arm surgery, and I ended up missing the entire freshman year when I went to Penn State. But then I came back my freshman year, freshman redshirt year, and I got freshman All-American honors. I came back the following 2 years. I became an All-American. I was wrestling 150, and then my senior year, ended up getting mono, followed by a second shoulder injury, and my career ended on the mats of Carver Hawkeye in the 1986 NCAA tournament. Once I had my competitive wrestling career ended, I knew I wanted to stay in and around sports, and I just decided that I wanted to get into sports television, really without having any experience there at all. And I had some friends, Nick Gallo and Neil Duncan, who were actually mentors to me, and they got me an interview with a friend of theirs at NBC, and shortly after I was kind of working at NBC Sports in the promos area, where you kind of make the on-air commercials, like the Jets playing the Patriots this coming Sunday. I mean, literally sitting in an edit room editing commercials. But it was a great learning experience because I learned how television got made and produced both on a live basis and also like on a post-production basis. And I spent a couple of years doing that. Ended up working at the Olympics in 1988 in Seoul on the swimming and diving venue as an associate producer. Worked at programming at NBC Sports for a couple of years, and I ended up going over to Major League Baseball, the commissioner's office, and selling corporate sponsorships. One of my clients was Nike, because they were buying commercial time on the baseball network. And I ended up going to Nike and worked there really for 5 years in their sports marketing area. Showed them a business plan about how we could do a Nike college sports channel at the time, and for the right reasons, they said, we don't sell TV, we sell shoes and clothes. That's what we do. And I said, this seems like a good time to try to do something on my own. So I left Nike in 1999. I put together a business plan, flew around the country for a year, and tried to pitch it to athletic directors, conference commissioners, presidents, coaches. And not surprisingly, there was a lot of support, because the pitch was, you need to create an alternative to ESPN, otherwise you'll never get your full value. And that was a very simple pitch and a simple idea for people to hold on and grasp onto. So I knew there was going to be a lot of support, so I ended up partnering up with a couple of guys that had done Classic Sports Network and had already sold it to ESPN. So in 2001, we put together an investor group. We went out and raised about $100 million of private equity, and we launched what became college sports television in April of 2003. And then about 2.5 years later, in the fall of 2005, beginning of 2006, we ended up selling CSTV to CBS, and it was a wild ride, and it was a great ending, but it was crazy for 5 years. I had such a great ride, building my own business and being an entrepreneur, that I kind of wanted to use what I had done in the past and all the knowledge I had gained in the cable and media industry and kind of start something on my own. So I've, now over the last couple of years, I've created my own company, Bevilacqua Media Company, which is really designed to, be like an advisor and an investor in sports and in media.
And Chris, we're seeing huge local media rights deals now. Why the explosion?
Well, it's a fascinating time in media overall. I mean, there's now over 100 million cable TV subscribers paying about $128 a month, and you sort of do the math on it, you're talking about a $150 billion a year industry.
It's one of the world's largest economies, sort of contained in the media and technology business. And so I've tried to use what I've learned in the past to build what is really an advisory and investment business with a real focus on sports and sports-related entities. If you simply just keep competing, you will, most of the time, you will come out on top. And I used to say that to all my employees, and I relate these stories to them when we were building the business, is that you just have to compete. And there's nothing more, I mean, you can't say any higher honor to a wrestler or an athlete than you know how to compete. And if you just look at every day as some type of a competition, I think that will bear fruit as you go through life. My family is the most important thing in the world to me now. My wife, Kristen, and I, we met when I was a little bit older, and so we didn't get married until I was 42. We didn't have our first child until I was 43. We've since had 4 children now. Getting to spend time with Kristen and the kids while I'm still active in building my own business has been a terrific experience. Getting inducted to the Hall of Fame, I mean, I know there's no higher honor. So to be recognized for what I've done, and that's what to me is very special, is to be recognized for what I've done off the mats, which in the grand scheme of life I think is at least in my view, is more important to me than what I actually did when I was on the mats.